In this part of the presentation, we are going to look at General Standards 1 and 2. 1.1. Navigational instructions make the organization of the course easy to understand. And then 1.2. A statement introduces the student to the course and to the structure of the student learning. Another way to think about this, do students know what to do first? And it's similar to the type of information that's provided in the schedule of classes. Students are given the dates, the day, the time, the classroom, so they know when to show up. They know how often to show up. They know how long they're expected to be there. Why not go ahead and give your online students that same information? Let them know, these are the things that I expect. This is the structure. You need to log into our classroom 3 days a week. You can expect to spend no less than whatever amount of time that it would take to complete those assignments so that they know what's expected to be successful in that course. The students in the Gold program are adult learners. They have jobs, they have families, they have community responsibilities. They need to know how much time they've got to set aside to be successful in your course. So give them that information. Give them navigational instructions. Tell them this is what you need to do first. And then you are setting up a scenario so that your students immediately go in and they complete that what to do first. It gets them started in that course, and then they're off to a great start. They're confident. They know where to go in the course, and they don't just click around lost trying to figure out what is it that they're supposed to be doing. So give them this information. It's very important. I want to tell you that the reviewer, when they go into your course, is taking things from the student's point of view. So when they go in, they're going to look to see, do I know what to do? Do I understand this instructor's expectations? So they are trained to take the student's point of view whenever they go in to review these courses. General Standard 2, Learning Objectives. And you need to know that this is probably one of the most missed areas. This is one that we go back and work with instructors a good bit on improving so that it does meet the standards. So the learning objectives of the course describe outcomes that are measurable. Keyword being measurable. So the learning objectives for the course set the standards and conditions for student learning, and they're very critical to a successful outcome. The learning objectives are also the first element of alignment. An instructional design concept, we've talked about that ensures the core elements of a course reinforce each other and they work together to promote student learning. We've encouraged the reviewers to be rigorous in review of the objectives. Especially adult learners want to know, what is it that I'm going to be learning and how are you going to measure that? So you're expected to have those learning objectives describing outcomes that are measurable. We want students to be fully aware of what they are getting into. We want them to know what you expect. So it's got to be stated clearly in these learning objectives. And then you have the module unit learning objectives describe outcomes that are measurable and consistent with course level objectives. And these are unit level objectives. They precisely describe the competencies, the skills, and knowledge the students must master and demonstrate throughout the course. Here's what we want to do now. We're going to provide you with this Bloom's taxonomy. Some of you may have heard of Bloom. he has different verbs, different ways, different things that you can use to write objectives on various levels. In Bloom's taxonomy, the most basic starts out with knowledge. So if you'll look over in that purple circle and find the knowledge, that's the most basic level. So those verbs in there, draw, identify, locate, label, write, list, recite, name, all of those are objectives that are on like the lower level of the critical thinking type scale. Now, there are times that students have to obtain certain knowledge. So it's not that objectives that are written on the knowledge level are less important or bad or are not adequate. But as you write your objectives, you need to make sure that you are asking your students to learn basic knowledge as well as think critically. So knowledge is on the lowest level, and then we go to comprehension. And that's, you can see confirm, explain, convert, infer, estimate, predict, paraphrase. And then it goes to application, then analysis, and then synthesis, and then evaluation. So that's the way that the Bloom's taxonomy hierarchy progresses. So it's knowledge at the lowest level and evaluation at the highest level. Here's another example of a Bloom's taxonomy type wheel, and it just gives you different verbs that you can use. And then it gives you ideas on what you can have them actually create, their activity that aligns with and goes with those verbs and those levels. And then if you don't like the circle one, here's just a different way to look at it. And all of these will be available to you in the course. We'll have these posted in the course, so you don't have to worry about writing anything down. Now notice this. Words or phrases such as know, think, appreciate, learn, comprehend, remember, perceive, understand, be aware of, be familiar with, have knowledge of, grasp the significance, are not measurable and should be avoided. These are not measurable verbs. So if you're stuck and you can't figure out a measurable verb, maybe you are very accustomed to using understand or know, then refer back to one of the Bloom's taxonomy lists and find the verbs that describe what you want these students to do. And these are measurable verbs. But these words or phrases are not measurable and should be avoided in objectives. Okay, let's see how much you've learned. Take a look at these learning objectives. Which ones are measurable? And here's the answer. Understand is not measurable. To design, that's a good one. That's on the higher level of the Bloom's taxonomy. To learn, to know. These are not measurable words. They're not measurable verbs. So you need to make sure that whenever you're writing those objectives that you stay away from words that cannot be measured.